I was tucked away in the back of the ballroom when the bride raised her champagne glass and declared, "I saved him from that broken woman." Laughter followed. Real, unashamed laughter. Glasses clinked. Heads nodded. Smiles spread like she just told the joke of the night. My face burned, not with shame, but from the heat of memories I'd buried deep. My stomach twisted, but I didn't move. I didn't cry. I didn't flinch. Then, through the glitter and noise, a waitress stepped forward like she was wading through water. She paused at the head table, removed her cap, and locked eyes with the bride. "I'm his daughter," she said, "and I have something to say." Silence. The bride's face drained of color. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Just stillness, sharp and absolute. And that's when everything changed. You know that feeling in your gut that screams, "You shouldn't be here"? That tight pull in your chest. I felt it in the parking lot of the Ridgewood Grand Hotel, fingers trembling around an ivory invitation edged in gold. It had come a month earlier. No return address. Just my name, Amara Lane, written in a handwriting I didn't recognize. My first thought, a mistake. My second, a cruel joke. But deep down I knew. It wasn't an invite. It was a declaration. A warning. A way to ensure I knew Gavin Rhee, the man I'd spent 6 years building a life with, was erasing me for good. I hadn't seen him in 3 years. Not since the night he walked out after I lost the baby. No goodbye. No fight. Just a duffel bag and a note that said he couldn't live in sadness anymore. But it wasn't just me he left behind. He left her too. Leah, his daughter from a previous relationship. She was 5 when she came to live with us. And the day she held my hand and called me Mommy, I stopped being just the woman who loved Gavin. I became hers. And when Gavin walked away, Leah stayed. Not by accident, by choice. I became a shell. I moved through the days like I was underwater. Every room echoed with the ghost of the family we almost were. I stopped answering calls. I avoided mirrors. But I still packed Leah's lunch. I still braided her hair. I still helped her study for spelling tests with a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. One night, I was curled up on the bathroom floor, shaking from another call from a debt collector, when Leah knocked. She was 10, barely reaching my ribs. She pushed the door open, sat beside me, and handed me a peanut butter sandwich. "You forgot to eat," she said. That was the moment I knew I wasn't alone. And if she hadn't given up on me, I couldn't give up on myself either. It took 2 years of therapy, odd jobs, and nights spent reading self-help books to feel human again. Slowly I rebuilt. I designed websites and logos. We moved to a smaller place near her school. And sometimes I laughed. Real, got deep laughs. When the invitation came, I left it unopened on the kitchen table. Leah was the one who finally picked it up. "You should go," she said. "For what?" I asked. "So I can watch him start a perfect life with someone prettier and richer." "No," she replied. "So he sees what he lost." She wasn't just talking about Gavin. She was talking about me. Uncle Joe, who raised me after my mom died, offered to drive us. He never liked Gavin. Said his smile came too easily and his eyes didn't match it. We sat in the back row. I didn't want to be noticed. Just present. I didn't expect a warm welcome. Maybe some awkward glances. What I didn't expect was a stage set for my humiliation. White lace, golden chandeliers, and lies dressed as toasts. But before the microphones, before the false applause, I looked at Gavin and realized something I'd never admitted aloud. He didn't break me. He just walked away from the pieces. I was the one who put them back together. The wedding was everything you'd expect from someone trying too hard to prove they were happy. Chandeliers hung like crystal tears. White orchids lined the aisle. Every detail screamed perfection. Leah had taken a job with a catering company, not for money, but to keep watch. She was always protecting me, in quiet, unshakable ways. I spotted Uncle Joe already seated. He gave me a nod that said, "You're doing fine, even if it feels like hell." And then I saw him, Gavin. Same polished smile, same magnetic charm. A whiskey in hand, schmoozing like the man I used to know. And her, Serena Vale, blonde, beautiful, loud in a way meant to silence others. She leaned into Gavin like she was claiming a prize. The vows were rehearsed. The kiss triumphant. The crowd applauded, drunk on the illusion. And then came the toast. Serena's glass lifted, Her voice rang out. I saved him from that broken woman. And they laughed, until a young waitress stepped forward, removed her cap, and said loud and clear, I'm his daughter, and I have something to say. Silence. And suddenly, every illusion in that room cracked. Still breathing. That's what I told myself as the toast began. The best man spoke first. Then the maid of honor. A cousin. All the familiar praise. Gavin was a great guy. Serena had saved him. I tuned most of it out, until I heard her voice. I want to say something. Serena stood at the head table, champagne flute raised. The lights caught in her eyes, but behind the sparkle was something sharper. She didn't look at Gavin. She looked at the crowd, and then at me. When I met Gavin, she began, he was a good man but hurt, damaged by someone who didn't know how to love him. A woman too broken to see how lucky she was. The heat in my face rose instantly. My body locked. She almost ruined him, Serena said, with a soft, airy laugh that made my stomach twist. But I saved him. I healed him. And now, today, he's finally where he belongs. Laughter rippled through the room. Real laughter. Glasses clinked. People actually toasted. Uncle Joe muttered a curse under his breath. I sat frozen. The urge to scream was electric in my veins. But I didn't move. Didn't cry. Just stared. She had no idea. No idea about the nights I held Gavin while he cried about losing custody of Leia. About the mornings I woke before dawn to rewrite his cover letters. About the ultrasound photo tucked away in a drawer, one I never got to frame. She didn't save him. She arrived after he fled. Then I saw movement near the kitchen. One of the waitresses had stopped walking, her jaws set tight, fists clenched. Leia. She stepped forward, trembling but steady, and walked past the tables toward the mic. She pulled off her catering cap, holding it in her hand like a flag of truth. I'm his daughter, she said, her voice louder than I'd ever heard it. And I have something to say. The room snapped into silence. People turned. Serena froze, her smile faltering. Gavin slowly turned to face her, his daughter, standing not 10 feet away. His carefully built world wobbling on its axis. Leia's curls had slipped free from her bun, her chest rising and falling with purpose. She's not just the woman you're mocking, she said, voice shaking. She's the woman who raised me. Serena blinked, confused. I'm Gavin's daughter, Leia repeated. From before he met you. From before he ran away. From before he pretended we didn't exist. Gasps. A phone lowered mid-recording. He left when I was 11. Not just my mom. Me too. No calls. No birthday cards. Nothing. She looked at Serena. And now you want to call her broken? She took a breath. I watched her work 2 jobs so I could eat. I watched her cry in silence so I wouldn't see. And when people asked where my father was, I lied for him. Said he was away on business. Because it was less painful than the truth. A ripple moved through the crowd. Gavin's voice finally surfaced, low and cautious. Leia. Not here. Oh, now you remember my name, she shot back. When I emailed you, you didn't even block me. You just ignored me. She turned to him fully. And now you sit here, letting her talk about my mother like she's nothing. He looked at me then, and for the first time, the mask cracked. But I didn't feel pity. Or anger. Just clarity. I wasn't the one who should be ashamed. She didn't break you, Leia said, voice rising. You broke yourself. Then you tried to bury us like we never existed. Serena scanned the crowd, searching for support. None came. She turned to Gavin. Is this true? He said nothing. Just stared at the girl holding the pieces of his past like a mirror he couldn't escape. Leia walked toward me. I rose and took her hand, and something inside me that had been still for years began to move. Not rage. Not sorrow. Power. She didn't come here to fight, Leia said, addressing the room. She came because I asked her to. Because I wanted her to see she doesn't have to hide anymore. She faced Serena, voice calm. She doesn't need to be invited into a room to belong in it. And no one gets to rewrite our story to make themselves look better. The air held its breath. Serena's hand trembled. This is crazy, she said. She's just trying to ruin my wedding. Leia raised her chin. You ruined it when you built it on lies. Then she turned and pulled me with her. The crowd parted like water. No one stopped us. No one dared. Behind us, Gavin's voice rose, panicked. Leia! But she didn't turn back. Outside, the night air was cool, quiet. Leia exhaled sharply, as if she'd finally let go of something she'd been holding for years. I couldn't let her humiliate you, she said softly. Not after everything. You didn't have to, I whispered. Yes, she said. I did. You saved me. It was time I returned the favor. And in that moment I understood. The most powerful love stories aren't always romantic. Some are built from silence, from healing, from survival. Some are born the day a daughter decides to protect the woman who never stopped protecting her. She thought it was her wedding. It was my reckoning. Her eyes darted between us, searching for solid ground she no longer had. I didn't know he had a daughter, Serena said, voice cracking. I'm sure you didn't, I replied. Leia stepped forward, steady and fierce. Did you ask? She said. Or did you just believe the version of him that made you feel better about yourself? Serena opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Then Gavin appeared, tie undone, jacket loose, face stripped of composure. Lila, he said softly, I never meant for any of this. She turned toward him slowly. Which part? Me being born? You abandoning me? Or letting someone else raise me while you disappeared? He flinched. I thought I was protecting you, he murmured. By vanishing, she said. Then he looked at me, for the first time all night. Eye to eye. No excuses left. I was broken, Amara, he said. You know I was. I was too, I said. But I stayed. That was it. The truth neither of us could run from anymore. He ran. I didn't. I can't take it back, he whispered. No, I said. You can't. Leia's voice cut through the stillness. You know what I used to tell myself? That maybe you were dead. Because that hurt less than believing you were alive and just didn't care. Gavin's eyes dropped to the floor. And then Leia did something I never expected. She stepped closer. Calm. Certain. I forgive you. He looked up, startled. Not for you, she said. For me. Because carrying your absence has been exhausting. And I'm done. He nodded, glassy-eyed. You're incredible. I know, she said, smiling softly. She made me that way. She pointed to me. And in that moment, that single gesture carried more weight than every toast in that ballroom. A daughter claiming the mother who never left. The woman who showed up. Every day. Serena crossed her arms. So what now? You just walk away and pretend you didn't wreck the night. Leia tilted her head. You wrecked it the second you built it on lies. And I added, if you wanted a perfect story, you should have picked someone with nothing to hide. We walked out into the night. The drizzle had started, but we didn't care. Not after the kind of storm we just walked through. Uncle Joe was waiting by the car, arms crossed. Well, he said. Guess that's what you'd call a mic drop moment. Leia laughed, and I joined her. Not bitter. Not forced. Just real. I didn't feel light because Gavin finally saw us. I felt light because we saw us. And now, so did everyone else. The days after. By the next morning, clips were everywhere. Grainy wedding footage. TikToks titled, Waitress shuts down bride with brutal truth. I didn't watch them. I didn't need to. I'd lived it. Messages started pouring in. Old friends, distant family. Some said, you were so brave. But I didn't feel brave. I felt like someone who had finally stopped hiding. Gavin never reached out. No call. No email. I think he knew. There was nothing left to say. His absence had already spoken volumes. Serena made the gossip rounds for a few weeks. Word was, she left before the honeymoon send-off and moved out shortly after. Whether they stayed together, I didn't care. This story was never about them. It was about me. And Leia. And what we became when the people who were supposed to protect us didn't. Something shifted in our home. Quiet, but powerful. Leia stood taller. She took up space unapologetically. I caught her once, practicing her speech again, not from vanity but from purpose. She told me she was thinking of starting a podcast for girls who think they don't have a voice. And me. I started writing again. It began with a note, then an essay. I sent it to a parenting blog. It got published. The comments poured in, mothers, daughters, women saying, thank you for saying what I couldn't. That turned into a blog, then a community. Then a non-profit, the second thread. A space for women rebuilding after abandonment, divorce, trauma. We hosted circles, counseling, writing workshops. Not to fix people, just to remind them they were never broken. But the most powerful moment wasn't online. It was in our kitchen. One cold January night, I was washing dishes. Leia sat flipping through a notebook, legs swinging. Out of nowhere, she said, "You know, I used to wish my real mom had stayed." My hands paused. "But now I get it," she said. "Maybe she left because I was supposed to end up with you." I turned around, dried my hands, and pulled her into a hug so tight I think I breathed her in. Sometimes, life rips out the pages you thought you'd need. It shatters the plot and leaves you standing there, wondering how the story ends. But sometimes, if you fight, if you love, if you stay, you get to write a new ending. And the best part, you don't need anyone's permission to begin.